The cardinal at your feeder this morning has never met you before. It arrived in your yard 3 weeks ago, young, first winter, learning the territory, and yet it already knows which door you use. It already knows what time you usually appear. It already knows whether you are safe. You never introduced yourself. You never fed it by hand. You never did anything to earn that specific bird's trust directly. But it trusts you anyway, because its mother told it to. And its mother knew because her mother told her. And the information passed down through those generations of birds. The information that told a bird you had never met exactly who you are started accumulating before you even knew those birds existed. You have been part of a curriculum you never signed up for. The syllabus was written before you moved in, and not a single lesson has ever been canceled. Stay until the end, because the last thing we cover reveals something about that information that most people find impossible to believe until they see the research.
There is something I want to know before we go any further. Think back to the first time a bird in your yard stayed calm when you walked outside, not flew away, not flushed, just stayed. When was that? How long had you been there before it happened? Tell me in the comments. Because the answer is more significant than you realize. And if you are new here, everything we cover on this channel starts from one question. What is actually happening in your yard that you have been too close to notice? Subscribe, because today's answer goes back further than you think.
There is a field of research called cultural transmission in birds. It is not widely discussed outside ornithology. But what it has documented over the past 30 years is one of the most remarkable things ever discovered about the animals living in your backyard. Birds teach, not instinctively, not genetically, not through hard-coded behavior passed down in DNA. They teach the way you teach, by watching, by demonstrating, by showing a younger bird exactly what to do in a specific situation, and then watching while the younger bird repeats it. Research published in the journal Nature by Dr. Lucy Aplin at the Max Planck Institute for Ornithology documented this process in extraordinary detail. In a landmark study, a single bird was taught a new behavior, how to open a puzzle box to access food. That bird was then released back into its wild population. Within weeks, the new behavior had spread through the entire local population. Not through genetics, not through instinct, through teaching. That single bird changed the behavior of an entire population, not through force, not through anything dramatic, just by showing up and letting others watch. Bird to bird, parent to offspring, generation to generation. And what birds teach their offspring is not abstract. It is specific. It is local. It is about the exact environment that specific family of birds has been living in, including the humans in it. Here is what that means for your yard. The cardinal family that has been visiting your feeder for the past several years has been building a file on you the entire time, not just one bird, the family. The mother cardinal that learned you were safe in her first spring at your feeder taught that information to her fledglings before they left the nest. Show them how you move. Show them where you usually appear. Show them that this particular human at this particular house does not require maximum flight distance. Those fledglings grew up. They had their own young, and they taught their young the same thing. Your safety rating, the one you earned through months of quiet, consistent presence, did not reset when new birds arrived. It was transferred. Research on cultural transmission in great tits, a species closely related to the chickadees in your yard, published in Science magazine, showed that socially learned behaviors can persist in a wild population for up to 9 generations. 9 generations. A great tit lives roughly 2 years. That means information learned about a specific location or a specific human at that location can persist in a bird population for nearly 20 years. And here is the part that stops most people completely. The bird at your feeder right now may be carrying information about your yard from a bird that died before you ever moved in. It does not know that bird is gone. It only knows what it was taught. You have been in the curriculum longer than you have lived there, but here is where it becomes complicated. Because birds do not only teach positive information, they teach warnings too. Research from the University of Washington by Dr. John Marsluff, the same researcher who documented that crows can recognize human faces, showed that negative experiences with specific humans spread through bird populations just as fast as positive. In one study, researchers wore specific masks while trapping and banding crows. Within weeks, crows that had never been trapped, birds that had never personally encountered that masked face, were responding with alarm calls and aggressive mobbing behavior to anyone wearing that mask. The information had traveled peer to peer, parent to offspring, generation to generation. Your yard works the same way. Picture this: a previous resident of your home set traps in that yard, or chased birds off the feeder, or moved fast and unpredictably every time they stepped outside. They moved away years ago. You have been living there for 3 years. You have never done a single thing to harm a bird in your life.
And yet the cardinals in your yard still flush faster than your neighbors, still maintain more distance, still seem harder to earn than they should be. That is not you. That is a file you inherited, a reputation that was written by someone else, in a yard that is now yours, being taught to birds that have never once met the person who earned it. This is why some people move into a new home and cannot attract birds no matter what they do, while the neighbor 2 doors down has chickadees landing on their shoulder. The birds remember, and they told their children, and their children told their children. The file on your address has been accumulating longer than you have lived there, but here is what the research also shows. That file can be rewritten. Dr. Marsluff's work documented that negative associations with specific humans or locations do fade over time as new positive data accumulates. The process is not fast, but every morning you appear calmly, predictably, without threat, is a new entry in the file, not just for the birds you can see, for the birds watching from the trees at the edge of your yard, for the young birds whose parents are watching you right now and deciding what to teach them. You are not just feeding birds. You are participating in a living document that stretches back decades and will continue forward long after you are gone, through years of ordinary mornings that felt like nothing to you, but were being recorded by creatures with perfect spatial memory and no reason to forget. The cardinal that lands at your feeder this morning is the product of generations of teaching about this yard, this house, and the humans who have lived here. And the cardinal that arrives 10 years from now will be the product of what the birds in your yard today decide to teach their children about you. You are already in the curriculum. The question is what lesson you are teaching.
The next time a young bird lands at your feeder, a bird you have never seen before, a bird that has never met you, and it does not flush when you appear, understand what you are seeing. You are not seeing a bird that simply got lucky with a calm temperament. You are seeing the result of information passed down through a family of birds across multiple generations. Information that said, this human is safe, this yard can be trusted, this is a place worth returning to. You earned that, not in a single morning, not through a single act of kindness, through years of ordinary mornings that felt like nothing to you, but were being recorded by creatures with perfect spatial memory and no reason to forget. The class never stopped. The lesson was always you. Tell me in the comments. Think back to the first time a bird in your yard stayed calm when you walked outside. When was that? How long had you been there before it happened? I want to know. I read every single one. If this changed the way you see the young birds arriving in your yard this season, share it with someone who has been feeding birds for years without ever knowing they were being taught about. Secret Bird Mine. I will see you in the next one.